Davies. Great move by Davies. Oh, this would be something. Oh! Goes short. Dutch Cal drives it. The header. Go! Well, you always remember your first.
Oh, and it's a goal. What a strike from Los Dos.
Playing into the middle. Quick shot taken. Second goal. Ezekiel Barco.
Dynamo need to work quickly. Look at Adams. Blocks the pass. Keeps the ball in play.
Clark starts out. Now retreats. Savarino. Yes! Savarino, his second of the year. A blast from Jesus Medina.
Can he get his first MLS goal? Around the goalkeeper. And what a tackle! Justin Pratt.
LAFC gliding in to score the goal is Latif Blessing.
Reggie Cannon.
Cannon shooting!
12 down, 10 more to go. Welcome to Extra Time Live, driven by Continental. We are just minutes away from revealing the 22 under 22 top 10 for 2018. I am Andrew Wiebe. This is the Extra Time radio crew you know and sometimes love. Matt Doyle, the armchair analyst. David Goss, Bobby Warshaw. Guys, this is our brand. Hashtag play your kids. This is what we were created to reveal. Are you ready?
I'm pretty ready.
I feel like Reggie Cannon just running around screaming. Can you believe this?
I scored. I scored. I'm starting every
That's
game.
That's a banger, though, man.
I have a U.S. national team call-up. We got a big show coming your way in the next half hour or so stay tuned. Of course, going to run back through the list you already know if you've been paying attention, 22 through 11. We're going to reveal that top 10. We've got interviews with the likes of Alfonzo Davies and others. I don't think I'm giving it away by saying Davies is among the top 10. And then we got Bobby going to the board to break things down. But you might be wondering at home, why 22 under 22? It was 24 under 24 for 8 years, Dave. Since 2010, why the change?
Well, when you look, at the awards that you give out for young players around the world, Golden Boy in Europe, the new FIFA Young Player World Cup Award, they're always 21. So you bring yourself in line with that. But the reason you're able to do that is because young player minutes and homegrown minutes have basically doubled in Major League Soccer since 2014. And you look at across the league, every team now giving these young players opportunities. You've got DPs like Kaku who are 23. So you can't put them in this conversation, which is about potential. Now you're able to talk about young players who are really going to grow.
You saw it. They got to be 21 or younger as of October 28th. Also, 19 voters in this. We had 4 anonymous technical staffers, which is pretty cool. Plus all of us, the likes of Alexi Lawless, Marcelo Balboa, Paul Tenorio at The Athletic. Bobby, take this from a player's perspective. What does it mean to be on this list?
Yeah, to get even close to this list, you had to have worked your tail off your whole life. You had to show up early. You had to stay late. But guys, I think we all know there's a tipping point at some point in life to say, is it worth it? Is it worth me waking up early and working so hard? But then you make a list like this. And yeah, the list in itself doesn't mean much, but it's affirmation. It shows that all the hard work you've put in means something, and it gives you a kick in the butt to keep going. And then you look at guys who've been on this list in years past, and you see the heights that they've made. You say, all right, there's something to this.
Multi-million-dollar transfers, Montero, Breck Shea, Yedlin, Castillo, Laren probably should have been. Almiron will be. I mean, this is a decorated list, Doyle. You are top of the heap among the player kids contingent. How's MLS doing right now in that regard?
Respect the brand. I like that. The numbers David gave us kind of tell the tale, basically doubling the amount of young player minutes in the last 4 or 5 years. Some of that has to do with the Young DP initiative. Some of it has to do with TAM allowing teams to go in and get new players from overseas. But most of it has to do with the homegrown player initiative and the development of academies all over the league. And look, man, there is no reason in the world that American and Canadian kids can't be as good, can't be as influential as what we see elsewhere in the world. You don't have to go to Argentina or Paraguay or Africa or Europe or wherever to find a special player. You can find one of those in your neighborhood if you commit to coaching and developing and playing those kids. And I like that we're starting to see it, and not just on scrub teams, but on some of the best teams in the league.
This guy's riled up, and that bodes well.
Yeah.
That bodes well for this show. 22 through 11, there was a variety of methods these guys came in the league. Who are you looking at? Who stands out?
19, Andrew Carlton. But beyond anything else, I love players who can pass the ball, and his vision is exceptional. I just need him to have that killer instinct. I need to see him bring it every single game, no matter what the level he's playing at. He struggled with that this year in USL.
Efra Alvarez for me, the youngest player on this list. At me, let's go. I know people are a little upset about him. 12 goals in 15 USL games. I've seen him play at youth tournaments. I've been to a lot of youth tournaments. He is the best player I have ever seen at that level. Still just 16
Yeah, he
years
is
old.
otherworldly. Brooks Lennon is maybe not the trendy special pick that Alvarez is, but he goes from playing on the wing, being at Liverpool, being an attacker, to being a right back and an every game starter for RSL. I think he is one of the best national team defending prospects in the pool right now.
You guys, I'm going to take Andre Horta, $7 million to LAFC. He's already won awards in the Portuguese League. He's already accomplished things that other players on this list would love to get to, but Major League Soccer, he's been struggling, but top 5 potential. I expect to see him on this list next year.
Absolutely. Dave says at him, you can hit us up. Use the hashtag 22U22. We'll include your thoughts later in the show. We're done with the pleasantries. It's time to get to the list. Let's check out number 10.
Number 10, Austin Trusty, Philadelphia Union.
From YSC Academy to Bethlehem Steel to the Union, Austin Trusty reps Philly every time he steps on the field.
That was a brilliant challenge. Absolutely brilliant challenge.
The U.S. Youth International might have been an unknown commodity before this season, but there's no doubting the 20-year-old center back these days. He's strong in the challenge, getting better on the ball, and he's sure as hell not intimidated. Philly's future is now. All right, Austin Trusty at number 10, the 20-year-old Duke, baby. Big center back. Came all the way up through the academy. He was one of the first at YSC, and he's gone all the way up. Bethlehem Steel in USL. Now at the Union. Played every single minute this season for Jim Curtin. Bobby Warshaw, tell us about him.
Yeah, guys, when I think about what it takes to be a top-level center back in the world, I think you have to have basic athleticism to do 2 things, and we'll see him here. Here's the first one. As Atlanta tries to build out of the back, here comes Joseph Martinez to get the ball. That's Austin Trusty with him. You have to be able to come back with a striker as he checks to the ball and blow up possession. But what happens when you come with a striker who's checking back, guys? It creates space behind you. You also have to have the pace and athleticism to take a guy like Dom Dwyer in open field. But obviously it's not just about athleticism. You have to be able to read the game, and I love what Trusty is doing here. He's checking his shoulder to sniff out where the danger is. And then once he does that, look at this. Look at his footwork and his positioning. He gets right in the middle of the 2 passing lanes to ensure the ball can't get to either of them. You've got to be able to read the game to do that well. And here's the last one, which was the good and the bad. We see him, he's a left-footed player. He plays on the left side very naturally. He picks out a nice pass here, guys, but I actually don't always love his pass selection. The main reason I want to do this clip is just so that he's left-footed. If you look at the top center backs in Major League Soccer, if you go through the list, how many are left-footed? And it's the same in the world market, and I think that speaks well to his potential moving forward.
Yeah, he's got something special with that left foot. But to go back to distribution, and you saw that in the Open Cup final, Doyle, and you also saw some of the decision-making be a little bit wanting. There are some question marks despite his potential.
Yeah, there's question marks with any young player, but if you look at his improvement curve, being able to look at yourself and accurately assess where you need to get better, that's a skill. It really is, and it's one we kind of undervalue. And over the last 5-6 months, Austin Trusty has become a much better player across almost every aspect of his game. And I think that's what gives me hope, or gives me belief, really, that this kid is going to continue to improve. And I remember, by the way, sitting in this studio 6 months ago with Austin Trusty starting, and Bobby being like, nah, he's not going to be that good.
Yeah, it's fair,
He's not
guys.
going to be that good.
I played him when he was on Bethlehem Steel a couple years ago, and we started in MLS. I was like, I'm not sure he has it. I didn't see it a couple years ago, but he has grown that much, even from 2 years ago to the beginning of the season. Now, beginning of the season until now, Doyle's right. His growth has been exponential.
What if I tell you that if you play your kids, they improve?
And coach them.
And coach them, and that's the big part. Jim Curtin was a center back. He trusts these players. He's giving them opportunities. That changes the growth potential for Austin Trusty.
And it's not just Trusty. Remember, Mark McKenzie was among the top 22 as well. Jim Curtin says both these guys have it. Austin Trusty, number 10 on 22 under 22. All right, we're ready. Number 9, let's go.
Number 9, Justin Glad, Real Salt Lake.
Age is the only thing that can keep the homegrown defender off this list. Signed from the academy more than 4 years ago, the 21-year-old has north of 100 pro starts and a U20 World Cup under his belt.
Justin Glad came back and saved a sure goal for the Whitecaps.
So what's next? First of all, a return to the playoffs. then perhaps an all-star nod and a U.S. national team call-up if all goes to plan. And now we're joined by number 9 in this year's 22 under 22 list, Real Salt Lake Central defender, Justin Glad. Justin, first, allow me to be the first guy to say congratulations. It wouldn't be 24 under 24 or I guess 22 under 22 without you, man. How does it feel to be in this list for 3 straight years?
It's awesome. Obviously, I'm very excited to make the list. Thank you guys for putting me on it. And hopefully I got one more year.
You can't thank us. You got to thank the voters, right? Because this is technical staff. This is media around the league, and of course, a few of us from inside MLSsoccer.com. But I want to talk about sort of the youth movement that's happened at RSL. There are, of course, a couple of your teammates on this list as well. But you're the one who has 100 games now. You're the one who's been in the starting lineup the longest, and you're the one who's on the back line in the center of defense. A position where you have to be vocal and you have to be a leader. So, like, honestly, how do you grow into a leadership role going from 18 to 21?
Yeah, I think it takes time, obviously. But for me, the big thing was, again, stepping up and being vocal. And I've been fortunate enough to have players around me like Kyle and Nick, and a coach who has full faith in me. And they've really been on me to, take control back there and don't be shy just because you're young. And that's been awesome to have.
Justin, the next step for you, like a lot of your friends already, is getting into that full national team. You see guys that you grew up playing with getting called in, being a part of the national team going forward. How do you get to that next step?
I think for me, it's consistency, and it's going out every week and showing what I can do on the field. And then obviously I think there's some stuff to do on the side in terms of physicality and getting bigger, and obviously there's always room to improve. But I think as a center back, I mean, as anywhere really, but especially as a center back, what you really want is consistency and quality, high-performance games back to back. And if I go out there and keep doing that, then hopefully I can get called in.
I always love talking to guys what they do when they stay after training. Everyone else leaves. You're the last one on the field. When that's you, what are you working on? What part of your game are you trying to improve in those moments?
We mix it up. We do a lot of just playing quicker, making sure we're clean on the ball, getting those long switches in. Me, Aaron, and Nick Beasler will stay after and work on ball movement and shape and stuff like that. But really, we talk to Freddie, and he kind of puts together something at the end of every practice just to work on the little thing that maybe we don't really get to touch on in the actual main practice.
Before we let you go, I want your opinion here. I'm giving you a ballot, but you just get one pick. You got to go the number 1 player on this list. We're about to get to it. Who are you voting for, Justin?
And you can't pick any of your teammates.
I'm voting for Tyler Adams. Tyler Adams has my vote.
All right, Tyler Adams for Justin Glad. Number 9 on this list. Justin, congratulations. Thank you so much. Good luck going forward, man. A playoff spot to chase.
Thank you.
Justin Glad's vote goes to Tyler Adams at number 1. We'll see who gets that spot here in just a little bit. I want you to compare and contrast here between he and Austin Trusty. About 18 months separating the two. Glad is older. Who has the higher ceiling, Bobby?
I love what Justin Glad does. He's a little more refined than Trusty right now with his footwork, with his reading of the game. I'm just worried about his body type. If you look around the world at center backs, there aren't many that are as slight and as skinny as he. He mentioned that he's working on it. He's trying to get better at that, but it just concerns me that his body won't be able to fill in as well as Trusty's will.
Although it brings back a specific story where Craig Weibel was talking about them playing a friendly against Man U and just the ability to be able to stand next to those Man U players, hold your space, hold your body, and he felt like Justin Glad was light years above anyone else on RSL, and that was just at 19 years old.
Yeah, that's the athleticism that he has. Like, he's probably a little faster straight line speed than Austin Trusty, definitely a little quicker. Trusty, though, I mean, 6'3", 200 pounds. He doesn't get ragdolled the way that we've seen Justin Glad get ragdolled. So get him some steaks and put him in the gym for the entire off season.
By the way, in the off seasons, he does eat a lot of salmon. He protein loads. There's no doubt about that. He's trying to get bigger right now. He said it's some things to work on. Justin Glad, number 9 on this list, which brings us to where else? Number 8.
Number 8, Zeus Medina, NYCFC.
Paraguay's future resides in Major League Soccer, and the 21-year-old winger has the world at his feet.
New York City takes the lead. It is Zeus Medina.
Medina swapped his hometown of Asunción for the Big Apple this season. So far, the left footer has 6 goals and 7 assists. It's a good start, but he's got more to give. His ceiling? Well, that's still TBD. Jesus Medina, number 8. I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead here. 21.
Dun, dun, dun.
Way to give it away.
NYCFC. We knew it was coming, guys. Asunción, Paraguay, $4 million transfer fee to get him to New York City. You love him, Bobby. You think he's really, really well-rounded.
I really like him. And when you look at other quote-unquote wingers his age or other wingers on this list under the age of 22, I think Medina's a little more well-rounded with his game. He's not just someone who wants to beat you 1v1. He can get the ball in midfield. He can connect passes. He can press well. He can play multiple positions. He's played basically a box-to-box role for Dome Truitt in the last couple of months. So I just really like all of the things with Dome.
What you said is connect passes, and that's the thing that stands out to me about Medina, specifically connecting dangerous passes on the run, which is an elite skill, and it's one that he showed really, really early. And I think that helped him fit into what NYCFC were doing at the start of the season, when I think we would all agree they probably played the prettiest, most complicated attacking scheme in the league. And you took this 21-year-old kid and you plopped him down in that lineup, and he fit. Yep. Just like that.
Well, he's going to need to be versatile because he's part of the next generation of Paraguay. He got called in. He only has 1 cap. The rest of that team is MLS All-Star, though. So he's behind Almiron and Kaku and Villalba in those attacking spots. He's going to have to show that he can fit in with all of them, play alongside them, or play behind them. Like you said, connect passes and do what he can deeper on the field. My one question about him was, once the league saw him a little bit, he struggled. In May, in June. Then Dome Truitt comes in and the team changes and he gets hurt. So the question for me next year is he the player he was in April and May, or is he the player after?
I think he showed some of that in June and July as well. And then he got hurt. I think it was at the end of July, and they kind of haven't been the same since. But the good thing about playing for Dome is it's good training for playing for JCO. You could line up in a different formation. We might see him as some right back at some point this year. It all makes sense.
All right, let's go to number 7.
Any idea who that is?
Who might it be? We don't know. We don't know. Let's check it out.
Number 7, Reggie Cannon, FC Dallas.
Unbelievably honored. That's how the 20-year-old right back described his first ever U.S. national team call-up this week. More like unbelievably deserving.
Cannon cuts back, puts it in danger zone.
Cannon is just the latest academy product to make a big-time impact in Frisco. He watched from the bench for a year before taking over the starting spot this season. 30 starts for the West leaders later, you can't argue with the results. Reggie Cannon, and he's on the line now with us. Reggie, what's up, man? How's it going? 22-22, U.S. national team, pretty good week for you.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good week so far. It's been an ecstatic week, and I don't know how to handle it really.
So you're going to go meet up with the guys, but you've done it at FC Dallas. That's how you got this opportunity. You didn't really play before this year, and Oscar Pareja put his faith in you from the very start. How have you gone through this first year of being an everyday starter?
Last year was a rough year, I would say. It's tough watching the team from the sideline when you just want to be out there. And at the end of this year, Oscar trusted me with that position, and I never took it for granted. I took that position and I ran with it. And at the beginning of the season, I was a little shaky. I was playing not to make mistakes, but I think with the more games I've gotten, the more experience I've gotten, I think I'm starting to really blossom into a dangerous player, and that's what I love about the game.
Reggie, you mentioned how hard last year was for you, and you went from not playing to now being one of the best right backs in the league. If you were to give advice to these guys who aren't top 10 in this list, what would it be? Would it be physical? Would it be emotional? How do they make the same leap that you did?
It's honestly believing in yourself. It's the mental side of it. Because last year, the physical stuff will come. If you work extra, I have no doubt that stuff will come. It's the mental side of it. You have to believe in yourself more than anyone else. Because people will jump off shit pretty quick, and that's the tough part about it. And last year, there were multiple times where I had people telling me to quit. It was tough for me, but I held on, and I knew that the brighter side of it was on the horizon. And so I kept going. I worked extra and worked my tail off to get where I am this year. I have to give a shout out to Kellen Acosta. He really helped me all season when he was here, and he pushed me. He told me to keep going, and he really helped me make this leap this year.
Nice, love to hear that.
Reggie, you got a chance to see your buddy Kellen coming up next week with the U.S. national team. What's your mentality going into that? What have you asked those guys about what the experience will be like?
Yeah, I mean, it's always an honor to represent your country, and I'm just gonna take away from this camp what I can. Learning from the best, the biggest names in the game right now: Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie. You got all these young guys at 20 making the biggest impact in the world, and I want to learn. I want to adapt to the culture, I would say, and Callan's definitely gonna help me through that. Being somewhere where I came from, so it's gonna be good to have him there, and I can't wait to learn from the greats.
All right, Reggie, we'll be watching with the U.S. man, of course, watching with Dallas. You guys push into the playoffs. Congratulations on your place in this list, and, of course, the call-up, man.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reggie. We're talking U.S. national team right now. He is a guy, Doyle, that you are very, very high on. Why so high, and what do you think he can bring to the U.S.?
A lot of the stuff that Bobby said about Medina actually applies to Reggie Cannon. If you look at him, he's a super complete right back at a very young age and very very low experience level if you really think about it, because Dallas doesn't have a USL team. He wasn't getting 2,000 minutes a year against pros as a 16-year-old. He actually just slid into that starting lineup, and like he said, he struggled a bit at the start of the year, but he's been arguably the league's best right back since about the middle of the season. I'm looking forward to seeing him with the U.S. national team. I wish he was a couple months younger, because then he could be with the U20s as well and help us defend that. But the full U.S. national team and then the U23s next year, hopefully qualifying for the Olympics. This kid has it all in front of him.
Yep. 18th homegrown signing in FC Dallas history is Reggie Cannon. He is number 7 on the 2018 22 under 22 list. That brings us, of course, to number 6.
Number 6, Ezekiel Barco, Atlanta United.
Nobody in MLS history costs more than the reported $15 million it took to pry the Argentine wonder kid away from Independiente. Has he been worth the price tag? You be the judge.
It's blocked. Barco finds it. The shot.
Barco's got serious talent, and he's only 19 with a Copa Sudamericana title already under his belt. Can he become a bona fide star in Atlanta, though? Only time will tell. Ezekiel Barco, number 6. Barco Watch, the hashtag that took over the winner. They got him eventually from Independiente. $15 million reportedly. That's the most ever in MLS history for an incoming player. I heard you, Dave.
Barquito.
When Barco came up, Barquito.
I love it.
Yeah.
He comes in, he costs a lot of money, so you're expecting day one this guy needs to be a star. But that's not how Atlanta United's built. It's taking him a little while to get comfortable. But you see, 1, his speed. 2, when he's with the ball, he can still run at pace. He can run at guys. He's smooth. The question right now is how dangerous can he be in his decision-making in that final third? And I think he's finding his feet next to Almiron, who's the top dog on the team. Over the next year to year and a half, he'll start to slide into that role. And he might not do it from that central position, but I still think he's going to be the guy they start to play through. And that's when he's really going to start to find his feet in MLS.
Right. It's been up and down, yeah? He kind of got, it wasn't suspension, but he got taken out of the starting lineup for off-the-field stuff. He's a young man. He's been a mixed bag this year.
It's been a mixed bag. It's hard to move to a new country and adjust to a new culture and adjust to a new team, especially one where, as Gassman said, he's not the featured player here. He is playing in a supporting role. Right now, that might suit his skills better. He reminds me of Darlington Nagbe in that he's very tidy on the ball. He's very quick. His passing vision it's secure. He doesn't break games open. And the question is, a year from now, maybe not even, after Joseph Martinez and Miguel Almiron and maybe even Hector Villalba have presumably left Atlanta United and the team is more built around Barco, when he has that featured role, can he be that guy? That is, to me, that's still up in the air.
I want to know where you guys had him in your 22. Where was he?
18th.
Admit.
18th.
11th.
Yeah, I had him 16. The same thing I said about Andre Horta, guys. The sky is the limit for this player. He's so talented, but he just hasn't been good in Major League Soccer this year, and we had to take that into account.
All right, Ezekiel Barco, number 6 on this list, the Atlanta United starlet. That brings us to number 5.
Number 5, Jefferson Savarino, Real Salt Lake.
Looking for the most overlooked, underrated attacker in MLS? The 21-year-old Venezuelan international is as good a shot as any.
Now retreat, Savarino! Yes! Savarino is second of the year!
Savarino's got wiggle. He's got the final product, too. Injury limited the young DP to 6 goals and 5 assists a year ago. He upped that to 6 and 11, and the year's not even done. Vamos Vino Tinto. Jefferson Savarino clocks in at number 5 on our 22 under 22 list. He's got 3 call-ups. for Venezuela. Just getting started there on the international front, but he's improved this year. 6 goals, 5 assists in 2017, 6 and 11 in 30 games in 2018. Bobby Warshaw, tell us why he's special.
Yeah, guys, let's break down Savarino, and this might be my favorite one, because when you talk to players around the league, look at this. He is the fastest to accelerate from nothing. And usually, when you get a player like this, if we see Savarino just walking or standing on the ball, as a defender, I'm like, I got him. He can't go anywhere. He's standing right now. But Savarino accelerates so quickly that it means that anything is possible at any moment. He can make anything happen. And just look at that pass, too, which is next level. And this is the other thing I want to point out, right? We showed how quick he is. We showed how fast he can get by players. Well, what that means, the consequence is that players are scared to get close. Look how far these Chicago defenders lay off of him. And at the end of the day, if you give Jefferson Savarino that much space, he's going to destroy you guys. He's got the quickness to just leave you in the dust. Then once you lay off, he's got the ability to make the pass. I don't know how you defend him.
I called it the wiggle in the intro there, because he's the sort of guy when you think he's stuck, he's going to find his way through that crevice. Cal Beckman said there's no ceiling for him. Where can this guy go?
Well, he's already a great player in MLS. He's already a difference maker for what might be a playoff team this year. And every team in the world needs a guy who can create something out of nothing, a guy who can create something on his own. If you isolate him on the wing, he's capable of doing that. Will he be a player who moves in field and connects and dominates the game and dominates possession? I don't know. But if this who he is and confident his whole career, he's going to be a difference maker wherever he plays.
He's young Ignacio Piatti is what he reminds me.
I like that. You've been hiding that all year.
Young Nacho?
Young Nacho. I think his ceiling is like MLS best 11, MVP candidate. Obviously, he's already an international for Venezuela. RSL are doing very, very well developing this young man. Yeah. Absolutely.
Something to keep an eye on for RSL fans. I went back through every goal and basically every shot he's had in Major League Soccer. He's still a little wasteful with his shots. He still tries to pull the trigger too quick. If he were to calm down in the final third and keep using his skill as opposed to just taking the trigger on a shot, he'll get even more goals.
Last summer, RSL brought him in on loan. They made that loan permanent at the end of the year. They know what they have in Jefferson Savarino, who clocks in at number 5 on 22 under 22. Let's take a look at number 4.
Number 4, Yeison Herrera, NYCFC.
Some players are born to lead. NYCFC's hard-nosed central midfielder makes it 2 straight Venezuelans on this list. The blue side of New York haven't been able to replace Herrera since he went down in May. Even ankle surgery couldn't keep him off this list. That's how highly people rate the Man City loanee and captain of last year's U20 World Cup runners-up. Vamos Vino Tinto. Yeison Herrera, number 4 after finishing number 6 on 2017's 24 under 24. He's on loan from Man City. Of course, we saw him at the 2017 U20 World Cup. He helped eliminate the U.S. in the quarterfinals in that one, but he hasn't played since May 25th. He had that ankle injury. Then he got surgery. NYCFC said Yeison's out for the season, and now he's saying that he's going to be back before it's over. That's an incredible turnaround. Somehow, despite voters often being thrown off by absences, he makes this list and high up as well at number 4, Doyle. What makes him so special?
His ability to always be engaged in the moment. Going back to that U20 game against the U.S. last year, anytime there was a turnover, it seemed like there were 3 of them out there. He was always pressing, it seemed like the entire U.S. team, and we saw that in NYCFC's best moments both last year and this year as well. So he is just a machine in the middle, absolute bulldog. But he can play a little bit too. He's got good feet, good technique, good vision, and his runs are very good late into the box.
Which makes him has the ability to have a lot of partners because he does so many things well. And you want to see him deep in midfield, but he's got a clean touch. He sees the pass well, and he covers a ton of ground. But also the leadership, leading a Venezuelan national team that has no, success at any level in the world to a final of a U20 World Cup isn't nothing. Then he steps up to the full national team and he plays against Argentina and Colombia. Like this
draws in World Cup qualifying, by the way, which are out of character for them.
So for this guy to show that he can step up levels, that a club like Manchester City already values him, his ceiling is as high as it gets.
There was some disappointment though, Bobby. He thought he might move this summer. That injury threw it off. Where can he go in his career?
The sky's the limit. If you think about a lot of these players, right, as you move up in your career, the game gets faster. And it's a concern whether you can do your skills and they translate to the faster game. The thing about Yeison Herrera is that he already plays so fast. He already does everything at such a high pace that there's no concerns about does it translate to the next level.
If he wasn't hurt, we'd be having a conversation where if he's one on this list.
Yeah, we would, and we would be having a conversation where NYCFC still in the Supporter Shield hunt. They have missed him badly.
Yes, they have, along with Jesus Medina, number 8 on our list this year. As I said, we're gathering your thoughts, your takes, your snubs. Hashtag is 22U22. Here's Anthony Nicolotti here. He loves it. Dupe. They've got 3 on the list here. Derek Jones, Mark McKenzie, and Austin the Boss, Austin Trusty. Philadelphia, they have bet on youth development.
They have, and it just shows there's more than one way to build a team in MLS. The Union looked like they're playoff bound. They made it to their 3rd Open Cup final in the last, I think, 5 years it is, and expect a bunch more Union kids next year as well. Left back Matthew Real, a couple of attackers in Fonseca and Aronson as well. A lot coming through that academy.
Jonathan Moen, no Georgie. Georgie Mihailovic of the Fire. This is another example of if they're hurt, sometimes you can forget about him. But we saw it, man. He scored a banger this weekend. Kid's got talent.
But also, these players have only played for so little amount of time that if you miss 6 months as Georgie Mihailovic, that's like half your professional career.
Yeah.
We can't just bank on what you've done already. And the other thing is, it's competitive now. There's a lot of guys getting playing time. So it's not just, oh, yeah, this is a guy I've heard of that I'm going to vote for.
I want to make this point about Georgie, though. He's one of the few domestic players getting playing time as a pure attacking midfielder, so keep an eye on him.
And he looks good, dude.
Yeah, he does.
He does.
He definitely does. Michael Birdsall says he feels the RSL love. 3 players from them on this list. It's become a tradition, Bobby. RSL, young players get opportunities, and they often excel.
Yeah, don't thank us. Thank your club. Thank what RSL has done. They've made it happen for these young players.
Absolutely. We will see who takes the top 3 very, very soon. No Jackson Ewell. No Jackson Ewell on this list.
I'm supporting Doyle in this one.
I mean, I honestly didn't have him on my ballot. And again, it's kind of like the Mihailovic thing. Like, Jackson Ewell was not getting playing time this year for one of the worst teams in MLS history. And I don't care how much you see a player a little bit and you like what he brings to the table. If you're not able to break through to the lineup, you have to factor that into your balloting. Now, he's come into the lineup the last 3 games. I think he's looked really good. But no Jackson Ewell next year either, because like Andre Horta, Bobby, he's too old.
He will age out. These guys haven't aged out. We're on. It's the cream of the crop. It's the top 3, and we start at number 3.
Number 3, Diego Rossi, Los Angeles Football Club.
Last winter, the Uruguayan traded the black and yellow Penarol for the black and gold of LAFC. Millions well spent for the MLS new boys. Just watch.
Rossi!
A 20-year-old that's 2 assists away from a double-double season? Better believe Bob Bradley's got big plans. Those plans are paying off right now. They signed this guy to a young DP contract last December. Came in, got number 3 on this list. 10 goals, 8 assists. He's a blue chip prospect, no doubt about it, Bobby Warshot. He's comfortable around goal.
He absolutely is. And we got a taste of what Diego Rossi does so well in just his first game and his club's first game. This is opening weekend against Seattle Sounders. And Diego Rossi plays out wide, but he's not so much a winger as he is a wide forward. We see here, he always starts wide, and he loves to make these angled runs at goal, and he does them so well. And he makes it look easy, but to be able to do the timing, to be able to get the angle right, to be able to get off, look, he's off the defender's shoulder. That's not easy. That takes skill to be able to read the game and understand the movement. And then the last part of what he does well is he just recognizes situations in the game. As we see from this last play, he gets on the ball, and look here. Look at this space in front of him. This is one of the key tenets of what LAFC do. When you've got a pocket, you've got to go at it. You've got to execute and make something happen towards goal. And Diego Rossi just reads the game so well, whether it's on the ball or whether it's off the ball out wide, making that movement towards goal. He's always so dangerous. And Andrew, as you said it, once he gets the ball around goal, we've seen, you see that finish that he had against Seattle?
Yeah. He lives in the 18-yard box. That's where he wants to be, and Bob Bradley has brought him in places where it's hard to track him. In a lot of ways, I look at him and I think this is the prototype for what Major League Soccer wants from the young DP program. Blue chip prospect out of South America, somebody with possible sell-on value, good chance of playing for Uruguay in the future, and will be a stud once they hit the league.
Yeah, and when you talk about his positioning and what he does around the world right now, that's a big part of that position. You look at Mbappe being a star at the World Cup, these wide forwards, because you don't really have a traditional number 9 down the middle anymore. You look in MLS at what Royer does and CJ Sapong now the way he's playing in Philly. You have these guys who, they're forwards. That's what he is. I wonder if he's on a team where they played a bit more vertical, what he would look like, because he has breakaway speed and can open up the game with that. And LAFC likes to be in possession, but he's still been successful in his first year in a new country. And like you said, he's got sell-on value. So LAFC has options going either way.
The first 5 games of the year, they were purely vertical because they were on the road, so they were playing on the counterattack, and he was devastating. He's been good when they've been in possession. I want to see his decision-making on the ball get a little bit better in the final third. It's weird. Usually we talk about decision-making for young players being off the ball. Their runs aren't quite right. He has that down. It's when he gets on the ball, sometimes he picks the wrong pass for me. I think next year, he could end up being a best 11 caliber player. He's got all the tools.
Carlos Vela, Benny Feilhaber, Lee Nguyen, those guys can teach him those skills. We'll see what happens for Diego Rossi in LA. By the way, 15 goals this year because he had 5 in U.S. Open Cup action as well. A hell of a season for the young Uruguayan. I think you might have some guesses as who finished top 2. We got to reveal them anyway. Here comes number 2.
Number 2, Tyler Adams, New York Red Bulls.
Nobody represents the Red Bulls ethos more than the homegrown midfielder turned U.S. international. Adams is 19 years old, and he's absolutely fearless. Playoff face-off with Josie Altidore? Bring it on. RB Leipzig? There's unfinished business to attend to first. How about a shield and a cup? The next big thing in U.S. soccer is a freak defensive midfielder. Watch him climb. Feels like he's been around forever. He kind of has, man. Signed to RB2 in 2015, the first signing in the USL team's history, signed by the first team just a year later. He's 19, just 19, number 2 on 22 under 22 after being number 10 last year in 24 under 24. This is a time to celebrate the pathway, guys. This is a time to celebrate an otherworldly talent that we've seen up grow before our eyes. And Dave, you've been watching him from day one, basically.
And the physical tools are off the charts. And so those are the parts where you say, this guy can play at any level because he's got the speed, he's got the physicality. But some of those highlights we showed were him against the Houston Dynamo. That was a game where all of the veterans sat. And he started in midfield next to Christian Cáceres in his first ever game, and Sean Davis playing as the number 10. And you saw how he played as a leader. The mental part of his game is at the next level. He understands the Red Bull system, but he loves breaking down other teams and understanding how it can hurt him. It's why you're so excited for him going forward. And for Red Bulls fans, his younger brother plays in the academy, as you said, first ever signing in Red Bull 2 history. He's been a part of them since he was 11 years old. This is the dream scenario for what's going to become hopefully more common in the academy MLS setup.
Tyler Adams has all the tools, right? You watch 1 minute of his highlights, you see that. I want to touch on what David said about the mental aspect because people don't understand how many decisions and game-changing decisions there are to be made at center midfield. Do I go and close the ball or do I stay and protect the back four? Do I get on the ball or do I make sure we switch it to the other side? And Tyler Adams just has a sense of how to do things, and I don't know how you teach that, right? You either can understand the game of soccer, either you have that knack for getting involved and doing the right thing and reading situations, or you don't. When I think about these guys, these young players, and how do they project out, that's the first thing I look at. Do they have a sense of the game? Can they read what's going on around them and then interact with it? And Tyler Adams has it better than anyone else.
And I think he's the type of kid who keeps score in his head. Yeah. In anything. Yep. Like he just strikes me as so competitive. And the way it really crystallized was last year in that U20 World Cup game, Yeison Herrera chewed him up and spit him out. Yeison Herrera killed the U.S. and killed Tyler Adams head-to-head. The first time the Red Bulls met NYCFC this year, Adams destroyed Herrera. It was like, I have never seen Herrera get played off the pitch that badly. Adams took it personally, and he went back a year later, and he killed the guy, and I love that. And the other thing, the big problem that I have with Tyler Adams is that we don't have cloning technology because as good as he is at defensive midfielder, I still think he might be even better at right back. I still think you could have 2 Tyler Adams on this list, like both in the top 3.
It's important you bring that up because you want to move him to outside back because you're worried that he can't play 360 degrees. At center midfield, pressure comes from all over. You got to check on your shoulders. And Red Bulls aren't a passing team, so we don't see him do that a ton. And it's unclear if that will hold him back. But in 2018, he has gotten so much better. We've seen.
I agree.
We saw with the national team a couple weeks ago, the ball would come to him, he'd check his shoulder, he'd play a little pass. The growth he's made in 2018 at his one deficiency has been amazing.
But you're pro-cloning technology.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
I'm in for that.
Yeah, got to do it. Last 5 U.S. national team games, he started. Played 90 minutes. That's a pretty good sign.
Scored a game-winning goal against Mexico.
Yeah, pretty good sign of where this kid is going. Tyler Adams, number 2 on 2018's 22 under 22 list, which brings us to the payoff, everyone. It's number 1. Let's see.
Number 1, Alfonzo Davies, Vancouver Whitecaps.
From 24 under 24 to 22 under 22, the Canadian prodigy becomes the youngest winner in the series history. 17-year-olds aren't supposed to do this.
Here's Alfonzo Davies. Oh, great move by Davies to put it away.
Come January, Bayern Munich will take over the cultivation of Davies' talents thanks to an 8-figure transfer fee. The German champions have plenty of raw material to work with. Here's the lowdown on CONCACAF's next big star from his peers in MLS.
I mean, speed, agility, quickness, Alfonzo Davies has it all.
He's a talent like that. He's a beast, you know?
Great move by Davies, so this will be something. Oh!
You forget immediately how young he is.
Oh, great move by Davies to put it away! Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh.
What I really like is his ability to be aware off the ball and put himself in the right positions.
Kamara, Reyna slips it through. Here comes Davies.
It's just an amazing story to tell when he gets older and to share with the next generation. It opens up so much doors for soccer in Canada, soccer in North America, for even for the future, for the young kids growing up, to know that, hey, I can be Alfonzo Davies one day.
And now we're joined by number one in this year's 22 under 22 list, Vancouver Whitecaps, 17-year-old wonderkind Alfonzo Davies. Alfonzo, thanks for joining us, man.
Yes, thanks for having me.
You finished fourth last season as a 16-year-old when this was 24 under 24. We changed it. It doesn't matter. You're first in 2018 at 17 and the youngest ever to top this list. First of all, congratulations. Second, this is when you're finding out. How does it feel to be named the top young player in Major League Soccer?
You know, it's a great honor. I'm very excited. As you said, number one, and I just had a big smile on my face, and I'm really happy.
It's been a whirlwind year, to say the least. You got the Caps, you have Canada, and the World Cup, the All-Star Game, and of course, we all know Bayern Munich. How will you remember 2018, Alfonzo?
I think remembering 2018 was just, it'll be one of those years, look back and say, wow, I've accomplished a lot, and now, you know, I want to accomplish more and more.
What's your favorite memory, man? What's the thing that sticks out right now off the top of your head?
Scoring my first MLS goal.
That's a big one. And this is the thing, man. It can be easy to forget that you had just one assist in MLS before this season. I'm looking at the stats here. Yeah, 6 goals, 11 assists. You got a couple games left. What changed for you this year? About your game, about your mindset? What was different?
You know, nothing really changed. I think as time grew on, I got more and more confident on the ball. The coaches and teammates started trusting me more with the ball. So when that comes, and I was happy to show what I have every time I get the ball.
We're happy to see you on the ball too. Academy, USL, Major League Soccer. Who's been the biggest influence on your game up to this point?
I think just all the players that I play against and play with in the club. There's some really good players here, and every day in training, we push each other to do our best.
Kai Kamara's got to be one of them. I see you guys on social media. I see that smile. I know Kai pretty well. He will elicit that smile. What do you take from him this year? What has that relationship been like?
I mean, every time, you know, we're about to play a game, he just tells me to, you know, have fun, you know, be smart on the ball. Don't do things that you don't normally do, but overall, just enjoy yourself.
And put it up to me to dunk it at the back post, right?
Yeah, just cross the ball. That's it.
Zlatan said, quote, "I see a bright future after this weekend's game." Did you see the quotes? Did you see his advice about Bayern? What'd you think?
Yeah, I saw what was going on, and I'm happy that he said that about me. And Zlatan is, you know, he's a good player. He's a big guy. I mean, from TV, he looks big, but in real life, whoa, he's big.
How's your German?
Good.
Good enough then, huh? Thank you so much, Alfonzo. Congratulations. Number one in 2018's 22 under 22 list here at MLSsoccer.com. Good luck, man. We'll be watching you, okay?
Thank you.
Very, very good. Number 1 on this list, Alfonzo Davies, just 17 years old. He's about to turn 18, and when he does, he'll head to Bayern Munich. They purchased him for a reported $13 million. That could rise all the way to $22 million. I want to establish this fact, guys. Canada has 2 of the last 3 winners between 24 under 24 and 22 under 22. Kyle Larin won in 2016. This is also the second Whitecap to finish atop the list. Darren Maddox got it in 2012. He's doing it in the league. He's done it in USL. He's done it with the national team. He was joint leading scorer at the Gold Cup last year. Now he's going to Bayern Munich. This was the obvious no-duh choice atop this list. We might get to some disagreement
that
on
might
that
not
later.
be true at the end, but no one would deny both the potential that he has, but also the production that he has right now. And that's what's so exciting about this young player is that you could say all these things about, I don't know if he'll grow here and here, but he already has 6 goals and 11 assists this year in MLS. He's already a great player, and he's 17 years old. Physically, he's there. You know that he, when he's confident, he said when he's having fun, enjoying the game, he takes guys on, he can change the game, he can create goals. I don't know what his final position will be. I don't know what club he'll be with most of his life, if it's going to be Bayern Munich or somewhere else. But if you're Canadian, you got to be really excited.
And you got Blue Tabla, who would have been on this list had he not been
Canada
sold.
can play a front line with Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and Besiktas players. So, watch out for them in qualifying.
That's pretty good. Alfonzo Davies finishes atop 22 under 22, the first ever list. As we take you back through it here, you see 22 through 11. LAFC had 4 players on this list in their very first year of existence, which speaks to their signing policy. RSL with 3, Philly with 3, Atlanta with 2, New York with 2, Dallas with 2, Red Bulls, SKC, LA, DC, and Columbus with 1. 12 teams did not have a player who made 22 under 22. What stands out to you guys? What's the big picture takeaway from all this?
A lot of the teams at the top of the 2 conferences do have a lot of names on this list.
Yeah.
Good MLS teams are playing young players. They're signing young players from overseas, and they're trusting the young players in this academy. And one of the ones I think we're going to see over the next few years is SKC. I think they're going to start adding names to this list over and over again. Peter Vermees is committed. He's got good young talent in that squad.
Yeah, we've seen Lindsay on that list. Gianluca Bussio's another one.
He just missed it.
Just
missed 23.
He was number 20. All right, so he's a 16-year-old creative attacking midfielder who has looked good in his time. Juan Kuzan, another one, more of a steady, solid, move the zone around type of midfielder as well. I think you're right. SKC is going to be a big one. The other one is Seattle. Maybe not quite as close to breaking through to the first team, but they use their USL team well, and I think by this time in, say, 2020 or 2021, you're going to see a lot of Seattle kids on this list.
It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight.
You have to trust it.
Might trusty it if you're doing it a different way. You might have to trusty it. Investment has been very real from MLS ownership into the academy structure. Play your kids. Please play your kids. And now we've got to resolve a debate that's been going on in the group chat for a while now. 3 of us had Alfonzo Davies as number 1 on our 22 under 22 ballots. One of us had Tyler Adams, and that one is very passionate about why he should be number 1.
So I'm not very passionate because Alfonzo Davies is amazing. I have no problem with him going number 1. But when I thought about this, one of the ways I framed the question was, if I were to start a team right now, who would be my number 1 overall pick? What if I could have him for the next 10 years? And I take Tyler Adams for everything he does. Alfonzo Davies is amazing, but he's kind of amazing in one way. Tyler Adams is amazing in 8 ways and can help all other 10 players on the field. And that was my reasoning for taking Adams.
I think I don't agree with the framing, and I don't agree with that Davies is only amazing in one way. Davies is amazing in like 12 different ways. I understand the point, though. Like, if you're starting a team from scratch, or if you want to have a good, solid MLS team, the first thing you got to do, you got to get defensive midfield right. You have to get it right. And that's the argument for Adams. And you can even say there are 15 teams in this league who would take Adams over Davies just to solidify that and make sure you're not weak there. But if you are one of the best teams in the world, and you're trying to get that extra 3% to become the best team in the world, I think there are other Tyler Adamses out there. And look, there are probably other Alfonzo Davieses out there as well, but it's harder to find that stuff that Davies brings, the ability to just blow up an entire side of the field anytime you're on the ball. And to me, that's the difference. Like, that's the little bit extra special that we look for in an attacking player.
It's a win-win situation, so it's tough, to really pick one, which is what you're saying.
Yeah.
But to what Doyle's saying, you can find guys who will give you some defensive stability. Scoring goals is the hardest part of the game. That's the reality. And Alfonzo Davies is 17 years old and already does it. He's 2 years younger than Tyler Adams. Like, that alone blows your mind because Tyler Adams is so young in his own right. And so what I saw Alfonzo Davies do for Canada last year in the Gold Cup just took it to another level where you're saying, this is a teenage kid that's able to dominate the region in international play. That doesn't come around ever. Yeah. Landon Donovan wasn't doing that at that age. He was doing it in the U17 World Cup. And so what Alfonzo Davies has brought to the attacking side of the game is something we don't often see.
You're also a secret Canadian, though.
No, I'm not secret. I'm open about it.
My only takeaway from this is what all Extra Time Radio listeners already knew, and it's that you guys hate defense.
Wow.
That's my only takeaway.
Here's the thing about Tyler Adams, if we're talking big picture, he probably has a higher floor than Alfonzo Davies because he can play at wingback, he can play at fullback, he can play at defensive mid. And so I think no matter what, he's going to find his way into a team or find maybe a more stable situation with his club. Alfonzo Davies, not so much.
He could play winger, he could play midfield, he could play, I mean, he's played some fullback.
Where's my floor? Because it's never, like, his floor is my ceiling, basically.
Well, yeah.
We knew that. I mean, come on. Like, his floor is...
I think you're highly overrated his ceiling.
His floor is like the top of a skyscraper. We'll go over to the Empire State Building. That's his floor. All right, let us know what you think. Davies versus Tyler Adams. And, of course, you can do that. The 22 under 22 fan ballots are still open. Go get your ballot in. That's going to be released on Friday. We'll see who the fans in Major League Soccer decide. Yeah, I'm sorry. I missed on the analogy.
Did you qualify for this list?
I get it. My ankles break if I just stand on a soccer field. I got it. All right, guys? All right. Let's get to 2019. We've got 2018. The list is out. Everybody knows it. It's time to look ahead. Number one in 2019. What do you think, Bobby? Who's it going to be?
Okay, I'll take this year's number 3, Diego Rossi, because we broke him down on the board. We talked about how phenomenally he is going at goal. His weakness in his game, and Matt alluded to it, is his ability to keep possession in the middle third. Sometimes his decisions aren't right, or just his technique isn't right. And I think that's the easier part of a game to improve, and I think Bob Bradley is the exact head coach to fix that. So in terms of improving your shortcomings, I think Diego Rossi has a step ahead of the other guys and is going to be number 1 in 2019.
And he does put the ball in the net.
So Bobby looked at this list. The first 2 guys are probably leaving MLS and then picked number 3.
Yeah, that's it. But
wow,
Bobby accuses me of hating defenders, but I have Reggie Cannon as number 1 on my list for next season. Again, he's at age 20 with like 1,500 professional minutes. He's already arguably the most well-rounded right back in the league. I think his upside, I mean, it's national team already. I would not be shocked if over the next couple of years he ends up pushing DeAndre Yedlin for a starting job.
Who was telling that kid to quit?
Yeah, I know.
Who was telling him to quit?
You're 19 years old.
Yeah,
Same
get out of
person
here.
who told you your ceiling was anywhere near Tyler Adams.
Well, so it was me? No. All right. Who you got number 1?
I'm going to go a little bolder than these 2 who stayed in
Okay.
the top 7, and I'm going to go with Derek Jones.
Defensive midfielder Derek Jones.
Yes.
Let's go.
You look at Reggie Cannon not playing at all last year and now being a lockdown starter and a national team player. I think Derek Jones has that potential next year. What I love about his game is he's clean on the ball and he's big enough to hold players off. And once he turns and starts going upfield, the whole field changes because everyone starts to panic and he strides beautifully with the ball up the field. And he's fast and he creates space and then he sees that final pass. But he needs playing time. I'm going to trust Jim Curtin. I got you, Jim, to set me up here and make me look good in 2019.
All right, you guys stayed on the list. I went outside the book. George Bello, 17 years old, just got his first start in Major League Soccer for Atlanta United. He excelled. He shut down number 5 on this list, Jefferson Savarino. I think he's going to get more time for Tata. He was, I think 29th in the actual voting, so he's just outside. He's going to have an Alfonzo Davies-esque jump. Davies went from not on the list to 16 years old and number 4. Yeah. I think George Bello is going to have
And Bello
that same
plays
sort
the
of lead.
position that on Atlanta United has a little bit of room to get some playing time.
Yep. George Bello, my number 1 for 2019. Let us know who you think is going to finish number 1 then, and I guess we'll see you next year. Thank you so much for tuning in to Extra Time Live, driven by Continental, our reveal show for the top 10 of 22 under 22. I get it, guys. I get it. Floors, ceilings.
Weeby won't be on
jokes.
the list next year. He's 22 next year.
I aged out.
I got my fingers crossed.
Folks,
I'm going to make it,
Tuesday.
guys.
You're going to double it up?
Absolutely.